While the Democrats vying for mayor spent the last few months focused on the primary, Ed Ackerley used that time to build support for the general election. As the only independent to qualify for the ballot, he had no primary opponents. But after last week, Ackerley knows who he will face in November. At his office, we discussed how that shapes his campaign approach going forward. Ed, you're running as an independent. There are plenty of people out there who say independent has no chance here. Registration numbers, Democrats have it. Why run as an independent?
Math. Well, we did the analysis. There are 59,000 Republicans, 80,000 independents. You put those two numbers together, it can give a challenge to the Democrats, who have about 120-some thousand. So it's just a math thing. Put the numbers together in the right way and have a path to victory. So we would think that would be a good way to do it.
No Republican on the mayoral ballot. Does that help you in this case?
I think so. I think that I'm surprisingly pulling people from both sides. I'm pulling from the Democratic side as well as the Republican side, and certainly that big bulk of people in the middle that are the independents.
So what's your elevator speech or your standing on the corner shaking hands speech? Why do you want to be mayor?
I want to help fix Tucson, the problems that we've seen over the last several years. Public safety, roads, fix the roads, stimulate economic activity, and certainly take a look at the parks. We have a $225 million bond, but we need a lot more repair on the parks to get them up to where they need to be. So those four issues are the core issues. I think public safety is the biggest issue that we look at, because we have a low employment for the police, and we need to bolster that. And certainly the number one issue I hear out on the campaign trail is fix our roads. Please fix these roads.
You're running against someone who, to those at least who pay attention politically, is a known commodity. Your opponent, Regina Romero, has been on the city council for many, many years. You've been involved in the community for decades, but maybe not everybody knows you. How do you get your name out there against someone who's well known?
It's fortunate that for the last 44 years for me personally and 51 years for my company, Ackerley Advertising, we are in the promotion and advertising business. So we're going to do a really good job of getting our message out to the community over the next 60 days to let them know who I am and what my platform is and what my ideas are for helping Tucson into the near future.
On the issue of roads, one of Ackerley's top priorities, he supports an initiative in Pima County to reauthorize the Regional Transportation Authority beyond 2026. He wants to use some of its funding for maintenance. To free up more money in Tucson's budget, Ackerley says he would look at ways the city and county can consolidate some services and functions.
There's also many duplication of efforts, the city courts, county courts. There's some duplication of effort, parks, that we could combine, and not necessarily combine the departments, but share like we do when we have in the city prosecutor's office and in plans review and so forth. There are some places where we might be able to share resources, which will then cut down that duplication of effort. We need some redundancy in the county and the city. For instance, the 911 center is a good example. There's two full functioning 911 centers. But there's a redundancy there, and should one go down, then it can be immediately transferred to the other. So that type of redundancy is okay, but there is some place where we can move to maybe consolidate some of that government. And there has been a resistance to that on the part of the city over the last few years, but I think as mayor I could lead that charge into helping us save some money and also be more efficient with what we do.
Normally in Tucson, the mayoral race is the top of the ticket, but we have this sanctuary city initiative that's getting a lot of attention. Early on in your campaign, you and I talked, you said you were against it. You've been out on the campaign trail. Any change in that?
No change. Against the initiative and against the concept of sanctuary cities in general. Labeling ourselves a sanctuary city just is not in the best interest of Tucson for the current climate. I'm not against helping people and not helping people get adjusted to a new country, but we really need to focus on the core issues of public safety, transportation, and parks and economic development. And to be dissuaded by an issue that is really a federal issue is probably not in the best interest of Tucson in the near future and moving forward.
If that initiative passes and you are elected mayor, will you defend it?
Absolutely. As a mayor and the council, we're required by law to follow the law, and we will do whatever we have to do what we need to do to abide by those laws. But I will say that if it does pass, I think there will be some court challenges to it right away that would stall its implementation for quite some time. But again, as mayor, we will abide by the law and we'll do what we need to do as a city to defend the city's position.
About 2 months to Election Day. What's the next 60 days look like?
Well, today I have 10 events. It's really multiplied over the last few weeks. We've got our 300 $10 donations to qualify for matching funds. I'm running as a clean candidate. From here on out, it's a sprint to the finish line. I'm going to do everything I can to get my message out to the city of Tucson about how great a place this is to live, and if we all work together and jump in, we can solve some of these problems.
All right. Thanks for sitting down with us.
Thank you, Chris.